race-baiting, xenophobic, religious bigot. He doesn't represent my party. He doesn't represent the values that the men and women who wear the uniform are fighting for. And you know how you make America great again? Tell Donald Trump to go to hell.
For more on this, it's time for a closer look. You may recall that as part of the GOP attempt to overthrow the election results in 2020, Donald Trump called Georgia's Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger.
What I'm very concerned about is that if you're going to continue to vote by mail, that we need to know what systems work and what don't. It's up to the people of Georgia. But I think I have every right in the world to reach out and say, how does it work?
To magically find enough votes to overturn the results in a now infamous phone call. In his own separate call with Raffensperger, Graham asked him if he had the power to throw out legally cast ballots.
Graham was firmly on Team Trump, going so far as to assist the ex-president in his attempted coup by pressuring Georgia Republican Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger into overturning Biden's victory in the state, or at least maybe tossing out some absentee ballots he thought might help Trump get the win. It was that endeavor, of course, which led to a Georgia special grand jury recommending Graham be indicted in Fulton County, something that ultimately did not happen.
I want to talk about the double standard in our justice system and how it seems to me the Republicans are being treated differently.
Speaking of the addled ramblings of a diseased brain, there's some news about MyPillow CEO Mike Lindell, seen here not buying crack.
Was just curious about how mail voting works. So instead of Googling it or hopping on a bike and pedaling down to the town library, he decided to call an election official right as the president he supported was in the midst of orchestrating a coup to stay in power. It's just an innocent coincidence.
All I can say is count me out. Enough is enough. I've tried to be helpful.
It's like how when I want to check if my internet is working, I'll Google, is it bad that I put my kid's college fund into Bitcoin? It's a test. I didn't actually do it, honey. And also, if I did, markets are fluid, so.
I'm for Donald Trump because I know what I'm going to get. We need somebody that on day one can get this country back on track.
Graham makes it sound like he hosts one of those podcasts like Radiolab or Stuff You Should Know, where they investigate everyday mysteries. On today's episode of Telegram, we investigate mail-in voting. But first,
he was not actually charged, but he did make these calls.
Lindell is being sued by Dominion Voting Systems for $1 billion.
This episode is brought to you by MailChimp, which is what my meemaw used to tell me I was going to be when I grew up. She said, you ain't never going to be a senator. You could be working at the post office as a mail chip. And I said, that's not even a job, meemaw.
Held a live-streamed cyber symposium for which he hired a cyber expert red team and gave them what he said was 37 terabytes of irrefutable evidence that hackers broke into election systems.
I shouldn't say Republicans. I should say rich people, which, tend to be Republican. But it's really about rich people being able to buy justice, because justice is for sale in this country.
Broke into election systems using intercepted packet captures. Packet captures, of course, is a technical term that you might know by the street name pillowcases.
She said, well, they're going to make an exception for you. And I yell, why don't you stop putting your carpal tunnel sleeve in the dishwasher?
Well, the cyber results are in, and Lindell's own team has announced that they can't prove his claims that China hacked the election. When asked why they can't prove it, they said, we were handed a turd.
This just in, the Supreme Court rejected Senator Lindsey Graham's attempt to block the subpoena, forcing him to testify in the 2020 election investigation in Georgia.
A district attorney in Georgia had wanted Senator Graham to appear to give his testimony before that grand jury November 17th. Now the Supreme Court is saying, we are not going to get you out of that.
Damn, he couldn't even get his bro Brett Kavanaugh to help him out. You guys remember the Sneer brothers? That picture reminds me of knocking on the screen door at my aunt's house and getting growled at by her two chihuahuas while she took forever to let me in.
Well, from the beginning of right after the election, Lindsey Graham was engaged in a very public campaign to help Donald Trump try to overturn the result. Graham was all over Fox News. He was spreading myths and lies about election fraud. And this call to Raffensperger was part of a campaign. Trump wanted all of his accomplices, including Graham, to be doing everything they could to try to help him overturn these state results in the key states.
Making a big show of destroying his phone to end the harassment from angry Trump fans, and admittedly is a bit of a publicity stunt.
Look like a couple of actors auditioning for the role of a principal in a gritty Ferris Bueller reboot where the principal tries to murder Ferris. You've stolen your last Ferrari, Bueller. And then Ferris would say something like, you think you can kill me and get away with it? And the principal would be like, I have 2 words for you, Bueller.
Case in point, take Lindsey Graham. The man should have charges filed against him. The grand jury says so. But of course it won't be.
And yet none of this seems to be having any effect on Republican candidates and officials. They aren't deterred by investigations into 2020.
Because there's a double standard.
Continue to insist the 2020 election was stolen from Trump. And if they win, they've made it very clear that they will do everything in their power to rig future elections to prevent Democrats from winning. So they've gamed out scenarios for how to aggressively challenge elections, particularly ones in which a winner is not declared on election night. If there's any hint of doubt about the winners, the teams plan to wage aggressive court campaigns and launch a media blitz. Oh, is Donald Trump planning a media blitz? His whole life has been a media blitz.
The reality is there's always been a double standard. And I'm afraid there's always going to be one.
Without the media, he'd be selling illegal cigarettes out of the back of a Queens bowling alley. How would a media blitz look any different from his current strategy of appearing on literally any right-wing TV network or podcast as long as it has the words real, patriot, or America in it? This is a man who, let's not forget, basically had a standing invitation to call into Fox and Friends on a regular basis and ramble uninterrupted for over an hour while the host just sat there on the couch without moving like out-of-town tourists who accidentally wandered into a 1970s porn theater in Times Square.
One of them that comes up with some frequency is like, what's the deal with Lindsey Graham? Like, it's a fairly, like, people are like, what? Like, I don't get it. What, was he pretending then? Is he pretending now? Like,
it's weird things going on in that household in the last couple of weeks. You know, probably you and I are better not talking about it, but I don't know. You know, you hear the same things I do.
No big deal, everybody. Just the former president of the United States saying weird things have been going on.
A lot of people you've heard say, oh, Trump blackmailed him. There was some golf outing where Trump, told Graham he was going to spill some dark secret about Graham, and then Graham
Which I guess he knows because what? He's the watcher?
Boy, I hear him screaming all the time. But this is not fair that, they're treating these people differently because they're Republicans. For many, many years, Democrats have talked about prison reform. For many, many years, Democrats have talked about justice reform. But y'all had to be tough on crime. By God, the only money that should be spent on prisons is more bars. I'll be damned if we're going to do anything to, what's that word they have on the damn sign? Rehabilitate? Fuck that. We're not doing that.
Trump just makes it up and spreads it through vague, mafia-style innuendo like he's in a deleted scene from The Sopranos. She's very sad what's going on over at the place. Over at the place by the thing with our friend.
So we're talking about multiple people.
Yes.
How many people? Was this a long list?
It's not a short list.
Sometimes, I will admit I have the urge to fight fire with fire and do the same thing to Trump. Just spread some completely made-up accusation about him, like, I don't know, you didn't hear it from me, but there's some very weird things going on in Trump's household. Like,
we saw 75 people, and there are 6 pages of the report cut out, I think, if you look at the page numbers. So it's not...
So we're talking about more than a dozen people?
I would say that. Yes.
Okay.
I guess we will call that willpower. And now, today, we finally know what special grand jury foreperson Emily Kors was dying to tell the world.
I have 2 words for you, Bueller.
See, because Republicans' answer to everything is take all the money from that and somehow funnel it to the rich people. So they can pay for more lawyers.
Mr. President, if you were reelected, would you pardon yourself?
You never stop fighting for America, and I will never, ever stop fighting for you.
Here's what we're going to do. We're going to start slow. Because the court reporter's trying to take down what you're saying, okay?
Don't sit and scold me already, mister. I'll do whatever I have to do. So I don't. You're just a lawyer. You're an ambulance chasing lawyer. So don't start with me. I got all day. I'll take as much time as you want. So let's go. You're not my boss. You're just a lawyer, frivolous lawyer. So go.
The New York Times just reported that MyPillow CEO Mike Lindell, whose phone was recently seized in a Hardee's drive-thru by the FBI as part of an investigation into an illegal voting machine breach by a pro-Trump county clerk in Colorado.
This is absolutely disgusting. It's a disgrace to our country. It's a disgrace to you.
Anything else?
No, that's it. You asked me the question, I answered
The
it.
single largest advertiser on Fox News. He finances a large network of right-wing media outlets, and he spent as much as $40 million on conferences, activist networks, a digital media platform, legal battles, and researchers that promote his theory.
Hope you get all that.
Not sure, Mike. Non-responsive.
No, but it's disgusting when you sit here. I'm branded as now election, not my pillow guy. It's the opposite.
Mike, we just got to slow it down.
I know, but it just pisses me off.
I understand. They understand.
So disgusting.
You don't remember my question, do you?
Yeah, the question is, do people know you as the My Pillow guy, blah, blah, blah. I just gave my answer. No, they know me over here as this guy that's trying to save our country, but because of lawfare.
I'm honestly shocked he even has $40 million to throw around a bull like this. Did nobody have a pillow before he showed up? Did he invent them? Was everyone just laying their head down on a cinder block every night?
I can't go on my stage. I can't. My company has been hurt so bad because of people like this Eric Goomer. So bad. Just in tens of millions of dollars, hundreds of millions of dollars.
You don't remember my question, do you?
Then he came along and said, imagine if that cinder block was just a little bit softer. I mean, I'm 48. I think I bought a new pillow like twice in my life, but they're just flying out the door at MyPillow because what? This guy seems well rested?
And I'm not asking about the lumpy pillow calls.
No, they're not lumpy pillows. That's not what they call on. Okay? That when you say lumpy pillows, now you're an You got that? You're an is what you are.
Mike,
no,
sorry.
he's a he's an ambulance chasing That's what you are. The lumpy pillows, kiss my Put that in your book. No, they answer anything, any problem customer that wants to reach Mike Lindell. Those are the ones. I want to talk to Mike Lindell. I want to talk to Mike Lindell. They send them to here and they go, or they call about, maybe they didn't get their pillow on time because of the FedEx or whatever. Well, we'll cover them even though it could be somebody else's fault. Nobody called because of a lumpy pillow. But good one though.
You done?
Yeah, I'm done.
What I'm saying.
Obviously, you don't have a My Pillow too. You don't, do you?
What I'm saying is, Mr. Lindell.
What? Go ahead. No, I'm pissed.
I understand.
Yeah, go. When you're saying what?
He has the energy of a guy being dragged out of a Buffalo Wild Wings in Duluth for stuffing barbecue sauce in his pockets.
Do you need to take a break?
No, I don't need to take a break.
All right. Here's what I'm asking.
Your lumpy pillow question kind of set a nerve. Because obviously, just like your question in here, Mike's in your little complaint, Mike's frivolous cyber symposium, this whole case is frivolous. You should be ashamed of yourself. But go ahead. Finish your question on this and try not to talk about, get personal and badmouth my employees or my pillows or anything like that. Go ahead.
I haven't said a single word about your employees. And I don't own one of your pillows.
Attacked them. You attacked them. You were part of this. You're getting paid on consignment. You get paid if they get money from my employees. Yes, you have attacked them. You personally did this with Newsmax. You, and I called it right out, the criminal lawyers and Coomer, when you guys did this to me. I'm telling everyone out there, we are watching from every angle. There's people in every state, every county, every precinct. We have cyber guys watching this. I looked at a thing today. It was on my Twitter back from November of 2020, and they showed CNN 20,000 votes dropping right off at Donald Trump's total in real time. You guys, votes don't go in reverse. These are computer manipulation algorithms. So what I'm telling you is this election, it's all eyes. We have all the camera angles.
We're watching from every angle. It's all eyes. We have all the camera angles. Somehow the MyPillow guy has turned himself into Jigsaw. Although I'm not sure I believe you when you say you have all eyes and all camera angles, since, you don't even have a phone.
For the 21 people that the special grand jury recommended be indicted, that DA Willis ultimately did not indict. That's a lot of people. Among them are 10 fake electors, 6 lawyers, and 3 U.S. senators.
If that's true, it's probably not a good idea to be publicly confessing that you've somehow hacked into voting machines when you're under active investigation by the FBI. First, they took his phone at a Hardee's drive-thru. Next, they'll probably confiscate all his cameras while he's in line at a Carl's Jr.
I got a new strap-on harness today. I can't wait to put it on you.
The GOP might be talking a lot about crime or inflation or culture war issues, but this is the beating heart of Trumpism in the modern Republican Party. They simply do not accept the legitimacy of elections they don't win, and if they gain power, absolutely use that power to rig future elections for Trump or any other Republican candidate.
It will fit my favorite dildo perfectly. You're going to look so hot. I can't wait to have your cock in my mouth. I'm going to give you the blowjob of your life. Then I want you inside of me. End quote.
Today, the FBI, you're going to hear this, and you're probably already hearing it in the news. The FBI came after me and took my phone. They surrounded me at a Hardee's and took my phone that I run all my business, everything with. They could have just, what they've done is weaponize the FBI. It's disgusting. I don't have a computer. Everything I do have that phone, everything was on there, and they told me not to tell anybody. Here's an order: don't tell anybody. Okay, I won't. Well, I am. So there you go.
Don't ask me about what I would do. I could have, the last day, I could have had a pardon done that would have saved me all of these lawyers and all of these fake charges, these Biden indictments. They're all Biden indictments, political. They indicted. They want to arrest their political opponents. Only third world countries do that, banana republics. So, ready?
Lock her up. And then when you became president, you said, we don't do that in America. That's just not the right thing to do. That's what they're doing. Do you regret not locking her up? And if you're president again, will you lock people up?
Well, I'll give you an example. The answer is you have no choice because they're doing it to us.
Oh, my God, really? Oh, my gosh. It's devastating. Ooh, don't do it. Please don't do it.
It's so fitting that they stopped Lindell at a Hardee's, because when you think of it, Hardee's would be a more accurate name for My Pillow.
And all of these questions you're asking me about the fake charges, you wouldn't be asking me because it's a very powerful thing for a president. I was told by some people that these are sick lunatics that I'm dealing with.
They surrounded me at a Hardee's, and at first I thought they were going to take my order. So I said, okay, I'll have 97 orders of biscuits. But then they told me they were with the FBI.
What did I do wrong? I didn't do anything wrong. You mean because I challenged an election, they want to put me in jail?
And I said, does that stand for federal biscuit inspectors? And they said, that's not a thing. And I said, well, it should be because sometimes the biscuits are too dry. And they said, don't tell anybody. And I showed them that. And that's not the one. Where'd the thing go? I don't have a computer.
This is a Fox News alert, and a shocking one. We told you last night that the Biden administration has politicized law enforcement to the point where it feels Soviet. And we were not overstating it. The FBI has just raided the guy who sells pillows on this channel, not because the pillows were bad, but because they don't like who he voted for.
And he says, we're FBI. I said, show me your badges. So they show one badge. I said, how about yours? Because I don't trust anybody. There's bad people. Well, they do that, and they said, what do you want? And he says, we need to talk to you. So I pull over, and...
Mike Lindell said he initially told those agents he would not surrender his phone because he does not have a computer and runs all of his businesses off of that phone.
Where's my camera? Over here? Okay, ready to go with my story about the FBI. We're filming this in my office, so I think I know where the camera is.
Case in point, Donald Trump, $100,000 a plate for Rudolph Giuliani? Who the fuck's going to this dinner? Who has that kind of money? What do they think they're going to get out of it? Do they actually think Trump's going to be president? Because if they're that stupid, I'm concerned. What are they planning?
I love how he makes it sound like he would have been totally fine with it if they had raided Lindell because his pillows were bad. Way to be a pal.
For years, I've had them screaming at me, Zach, you're crazy. You're just a nut job who thinks that they're trying to take over America. That was the brilliance of Donald Trump. He understood the paranoia of the black helicopters. So, he had them all working for him. And now he's fucked. And the whole scheme is coming out.
If you're going to raid this truth-telling, democracy-loving patriot for anything, let it be for how criminally uncomfortable his ass pillows are.
America is becoming a banana republic. My whole life, I never got indicted or even thought about it, and now they're indicting me every chance they get. They're trying to steal the election by interfering with the campaign, and we are not going to let that happen. Great American patriots who see what is happening to our country, and they're not going to allow it to continue to happen. To the Democrats, I say, be careful what you wish for. We will expose their corruption for history to see, and justice will be done. So keep on fighting. I hope that Republican district attorneys and attorney generals throughout the country are closely watching the tremendous weaponization of justice that is being utilized against me. Frankly, it's an eye for an eye, or it's fight fire with fire.
I, along with the other 15 electors, were guided by legal minds, attorneys for our president, some very incredible constitutional attorneys. I've never in my whole life appreciated legal minds and attorneys before, I can tell you that. So what we did, along with 7 other states, really send in dueling electors, and that will be there before a federal constitutional attorney, and it'll be before Mike Pence and Congress to make that decision.
We've got a fake elector who has not really much to say, gosh, it's all so hazy, it's all so fuzzy.
In previous conversations, you said it was attorneys that asked you to do this, and you're following the advice of attorneys. Tell me who asked you to do this, and because this is a big surprise for a lot of folks. Go ahead.
A lot of it is still vague to me, and I don't have any email communications with any of these people, but Laura Cox was our state party chair at the time. Somebody from her staff contacted all of us, asked us to be at the Michigan Republican Party office at 2 p.m. I remember the time. I think it was December 18th, and so we showed up.
She says it's vague. But before, she had said we were guided by attorneys for our president, incredible constitutional attorneys. I've never in my whole life appreciated legal minds and attorneys before. As if this is very clear and guided by them. What is the change here?
Yeah, it's pretty interesting to see when people you cover suddenly develop amnesia for things they talked about.
Boy, that's not what she was saying. Just a couple of years ago when she was gung-ho, thought it was cool as hell.
It's not unprecedented either. I don't have the exact dates in front of me, but when I was at the Stop the Steal event yesterday, I think the last time was in 1960. The state of Hawaii sent in a dueling slate. But I think 8 different times over the course of our history. And, once again, trust our founding fathers. They had a way and a plan in case things like this went wrong.
So much before. Now, we did reach out to her. We asked about this. We didn't get a response. She did tweet at us eventually calling us fake news, but she didn't comment on any of her recent amnesia.
She had never really appreciated, liars and, gentlemanly scholars like this before, I wonder who she was talking about. It's all so fuzzy.
All right. So, but what's interesting in all these sound bites that you've just played is she's very clear. All these amazing constitutional lawyers and Trump's lawyers and all these people, and they were involved and they told us to do this. That's what she said in December of 2020.
So, former disgraced, howdy, y'all, Senator Loeffler. Not going to have to even get a liar. Well, sure, she has on a retainer, but she won't need one for this.
quote, either impeach the bum or fade into oblivion. They did it to us. He also recently called for the impeachment of Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis, who of course indicted him and 18 of his Confederates earlier this month. As I have said again and again, one of the ways that MAGA operates is by cultivating an atmosphere of menace and threat, of physical violence, as a proximate possibility.
Then, of course, you got Senator Perdue. He's going to walk too. Go fig.
As Republican candidates across the country made it clear that they are not only okay with, but actively supportive of Trump's corruption and his attempts to dismantle democracy.
The reality is, they were destined to walk. What they did is a criminal offense and they should go to prison.
Which is why it's so important the Justice Department follow every lead and investigate every accomplice.
In Georgia, Republican legislators recently passed a law giving them the ability to do what Trump told them to. This is before even Fani Willis indicted. And it is the ability to remove any DA, but specifically, in this case, Fani Willis, from her position as the Fulton County DA so that Trump could effectively walk on the charges. Earlier this week, one Georgia state senator told Steve Bannon that removing Willis using this newly passed law by the Republicans in the state was the only alternative to, get this, a full-blown civil war to stop Trump's indictments.
Now that we've got 19 people who are facing the rest of their life in prison because they spoke out against an election. I mean, you know, I told one senator, I said, listen, I said, we've got to put our heads together and figure this out. We need to be taking action right now, because if we don't, our constituencies are going to be fighting it in the streets. Do you want a civil war? I don't want a civil war. I don't want to have to draw my rifle. I want to make this problem go away with my legislative means of doing so. And the first step to getting that done is defunding Fani Willis.
Even if it's just 3 guys or 4 guys or 5 guys, they have to follow the dominoes, even if they lead all the way to.
But they are relatively small cogs in a much larger mechanism. I mean, hell, everybody knows that Lindsey Graham's nothing but a small cog. At least, that's what they call him behind his back.
And so when Senator Graham ultimately voted to acquit President Trump in his January 6th impeachment trial in the Senate, Senator Graham himself was under investigation, which is ironic, a wild conflict of interest, both. I don't know. And now we know that the special grand jury voted in favor of DA Willis indicting Senator Graham.
Otherwise, it's just confirmed bachelor Lindsey Graham doing right by the people of South Carolina by trying to throw an election in Georgia. I'm Zachariah, Lone Star Liberal. Y'all take it easy.
Even if you were reelected in this moment?
Well, I think it's very unlikely.
That's what we have. If you can't see that,